Berlin, February 3rd, 1945. The heart of Hitler's empire. Cold air above the clouds, flak bursts like black flowers blooming in hell. Our mission bombed the capital, crippled the rail yards, and sent a message that the Third Reich's days were numbered. I was the pilot of a B-17 flying fortress named Lucky Lady. But luck had a twisted sense of humor that day. We made it to Berlin. We dropped our bombs. But we didn't come back whole. This is the story of how we bombed the most heavily defended city in the world with half a wing missing and survived to tell the tale. RAF Molesworth, England, 0500 hours. The operations hall smelled like burnt coffee and fear. Men smoked nervously, some pretending to read newspapers, others hunched in silence. I could tell by the mood it wasn't going to be a milk run. Colonel Haskins stepped up to the big map. His pointer tapped Berlin. A collective groan swept the room. No one wanted Berlin. Too many guns, too many fighters, too many ghosts. Primary target, Berlin marshalling yards, he said. Flak expected to be heavy. German jets active. Fighter escort will join over the continent. Godspeed. I looked over at my crew. My co-pilot, Lieutenant Harris, exhaled slowly. Well, he said, at least they're not sending us to Munich again. We were 10 men, most of us barely shaving when we'd signed up. But after 22 missions together, we were closer than brothers. The Lucky Lady had become our second home, and sometimes our only refuge. Lieutenant Harris, my co-pilot, had a crooked grin and a steady hand. He'd once landed the Lady with one engine out and ice on the wings. I trusted him with my life. I still do. In the nose sat Charlie Reynolds, our bombardier. He was a quiet kid from Kansas who recited psalms under his breath before every drop. Said it kept his hands from shaking. Sergeant Red Malloy manned the top turret, big red-haired and Irish to the bone. He claimed to be bulletproof. So far, he wasn't wrong. Our radio man Jenkins knew more about swing bands than radios. He always had a tune humming in his throat, even at 30,000 feet. The tail gunner Frankie was the youngest, just 19, always scribbling letters home even when the flak started. He wore a picture of his girl inside his flak vest. For luck, he said. And me, I was Captain Jack Collins, 24 flight leader and scared out of my damn mind. We took off just after 0700 hours. The engines roared to life one by one, a thunderous symphony of machinery and smoke. I gripped the yoke tightly as we rolled down the tarmac, the gray sky looming above like a curtain waiting to drop. The Lucky Lady groaned as she lifted from the runway, heavy with bombs and fuel. She was an old bird patched up more times than I could count, but she always climbed like she had something to prove. As we gained altitude, I looked out over the English countryside. Frost covered the fields and chimney smoke curled up from sleeping villages. It looked peaceful worlds away from what we were flying into. By the time we reached the channel, the formation was taking shape. B-17 stretched out in all directions, a steel armada in the sky. Over 100 of us heading east. Some would never return. The cold crept in through every seam. My breath fogged the glass. I adjusted my oxygen mask and glanced at Harris. He gave a nod, business as usual. Jenkins piped up on intercom, playing "In the Mood, Boys. Let's make Berlin dance." We crossed into occupied territory just before 0900 hours. The flak would come soon. And when it did, it would change everything. The first burst came outside of Bremen, distant, harmless, like thunder behind a hill. But we knew it was only the beginning. By the time we crossed the Weser River, the sky turned black with it. Flak, thick, vicious, and merciless. It exploded in puffs the size of houses. We could hear the metal shards tearing through the formation, shredding aluminum and lives with equal ease. Jesus, Harris muttered. It's like flying through a storm made of razor blades. The Lucky Lady jolted hard, a near miss, then another. Red Malloy screamed something unintelligible over the intercom. He was still firing, raking the sky for fighters. None had appeared yet, but we all knew they would, especially the jets. The new German ME-262s could outrun anything we had. A burst hit just below our right wing. The whole ship shuddered. Warning lights blinked. I fought the yoke as we dipped hard to starboard. "She's hit." Harris yelled. "Starboard inner engine's gone." "Feather it," I shouted. The engine coughed, belched smoke, and then spun to a stop. "She's holding," I said, more to myself than to anyone else. Another blast closer. A B-17 off our port side erupted in flame. It split in two midair. Parachutes opened. Some didn't. My jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. "Hold formation," I barked. Charlie Reynolds muttered his psalms louder, now knuckles white around his bomb sight. Jenkins cursed between radio checks. In the ball turret, Vince was yelling about fighters 3 o'clock low. FW-190s. "Fighters incoming," Malloy roared. Our escorts hadn't arrived yet. The first fighter passed so close I saw the pilot's face. Young, calm. He fired a burst, stitching the air near our nose. I banked left, then right. Harris fired at him through the front window with his sidearm, more instinct than strategy. "We're not gonna make it," Jenkins whispered. "Yes, we are," I growled. "We damn well are." Then came the blow. A flak burst tore through the right wing. For a second, it felt like someone had hit us with a sledgehammer. The lady rolled hard, nose dipped. "Right wing's gone," Malloy screamed. "Outer panel gone." "It's gone." I fought the controls with every ounce of strength. The aircraft vibrated violently. Metal screamed. The yoke was a wild horse jerking from my hands. For one long second, the lady started into a spiral. Then Harris and I pulled together, leveled her out. Half the right wing was missing. A gaping hole remained, bleeding smoke and twisted metal. But she held. Somehow she held. Berlin appeared below us like a monstrous steel spiderweb glinting in the pale sunlight, crisscrossed with rail lines, roads, factories, and smokestacks, belching black clouds into the sky. It was surreal, beautiful, almost in the most grotesque way imaginable. Charlie Reynolds, our bombardier, was quiet. Too quiet. His hands rested on the Norden bomb site like a priest with a crucifix. We were minutes from the drop zone. I called out, "Bomb bay doors open." The icy air rushed in with a howl. Below the target approached the sprawling marshalling yards in the northern quadrant of the city. Trains had kept Germany's war machine going. If we cut the arteries, maybe the heart would bleed out. Flak intensified, more black bursts. The lucky lady jolted again and again. We were flying with half a wing, and every vibration felt like it might tear the ship apart. All engines holding Harris confirmed, his voice tight. "She's fighting us, but she's up." Charlie began the countdown. 10 seconds to drop. I swear I held my breath. 5, 4, 3. Flak burst dead ahead. The windshield cracked, spider webbing across Harris's side. "Bombs away," Charlie shouted. The plane jerked upward as the payload released. Over 10,000 pounds of high explosives tumbled from our belly. We banked away immediately, still over Berlin, still inside the inferno. Behind us, clouds of smoke erupted as the bomb struck. The city shook. Rail lines crumpled. Fire spread like oil on water. Charlie muttered a single word through clenched teeth: "Amen." The worst of it should have been over. We had dropped our bombs. We should have been on our way back to Molesworth with nothing but empty skies ahead. But we weren't flying a normal mission, and this wasn't a normal day. The lucky lady was bleeding, dragging herself through the skies like a wounded animal. With half the right wing gone and an engine feathered, we were slower than the rest of the formation, and falling behind. "Navigator, what's our course?" I asked. 275, came the voice of Carter from behind me. "But we've drifted south, wind stronger than we thought. We need to correct," Harris said, "or we're going to end up over Dresden." "No offense to Dresden," I said, "but one inferno a day is enough." The rest of the formation was disappearing into the distance. We were alone now, and that's when they came. The sky behind us filled with dots, fast-moving, hungry dots. FW-190s, maybe a dozen. maybe more. No escorts in sight. Molloy was the first to fire, coming in from high 7. 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Gunfire rattled through the ship. The tail lit up as Frankie returned fire. Jenkins was shouting over the intercom. Harris was scanning the sky. I was fighting the yoke. Then the ball turret went silent. Vince, I called. Vince, report. No answer. Molloy's voice cut through the static. Ball turret's out. Vince is hit. My throat closed up, but I didn't have time to grieve. The fighters were relentless. One peeled off and came straight at our nose. Charlie fired through the plexiglass with the Bose gun. Sparks danced off our fuselage. The fighter peeled away, then returned with a wingman. We were trapped until a roar filled the air, silver streaks from above. Mustangs, our escorts, had finally found us. They came screaming down like angels with 50 cals. The sky lit up with tracer fire. One of the FW-190s burst into flame and spiraled down. The rest scattered. I nearly collapsed onto the yoke. Lucky, Harris whispered. No, I said, just late. The English Channel glistened beneath us, silver and endless. But even that sight, so often a promise of safety, felt distant. The lucky lady was hanging on by threads, and I knew any misstep, any sudden gust, could end it. Fuel's low, Jenkins warned from the back. We might not have enough to circle for another approach. We won't need to, I replied. We're going in once, and we're going in heavy. Molesworth finally appeared over the horizon, flat runways, blinking beacons, a home in the gray. The radio tower was alive with chatter, but we barely responded. Harris and I were locked in hands, white on the yoke. As we approached final, the control tower crackled. Lucky lady, you're coming in too fast. Suggest go around. Negative, I said. We're coming in now. Half a wing, one engine down. She's not doing this twice. The ground rushed up. I fought the controls. The plane rocked, dipped, snarled in protest. Flaps. Flaps down, gear locked. We hit the runway like a wounded beast. The tires screeched. The fuselage groaned. I held the yoke back, praying the lady wouldn't break apart. And then, silence. Just the rattle of slowing wheels and the hiss of brakes. We stopped. Somehow. Against every odd, the lucky lady was down. We didn't cheer, didn't shout. We just sat there, breathing, shaking, listening to the creak of cooling metal. Jenkins sobbed quietly in the back. Harris removed his oxygen mask and wiped his face. Charlie kissed his Psalms book and looked out the cracked windshield. Is she gonna fly again? Molloy asked. No, I said. She's done her part. The ground crew rushed toward us, wide-eyed and pale. Medics climbed aboard. Vince didn't make it. We carried him out with silent hands. That night, the officers' mess was silent. No toasts, no dances, just eyes that stared past plates of uneaten food. We had made it, but something had stayed behind over Berlin in the flak with Vince in the sky. The lucky lady never flew again. She was stripped, patched, and towed into a hangar where she remained until the war ended. Years later, I returned, older, slower, filled with years of silence. The hangar was gone, but in the museum nearby, a fragment of her wing remained, twisted, metal faded stenciling. I stood there a long time. She saved us. She carried us through the fire. Half a wing, a heart. They called us heroes, but we were just kids, scared, stubborn, and lucky. And for one mission, one terrible day, we flew with angels.